straight from Boston. It's Founder Thought, the show that has everything from advice, ideas, and inspiration from founders and business owners that made it all happen.
On this episode, we speak with Jason Gorman, founder of Jackrabbit Learning Experience, a company envisioning, designing, and scaling extraordinary online learning experiences tailored to the client's needs.
So welcome to Founder Thought, everybody. So today we're here with Jason Gorman from Jackrabbit. Is it Jackrabbit or Jackrabbit?
It's Jackrabbit Learning Experience.
Learning Experience.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So welcome to Founder Thought.
Thanks for having me.
So
Sure.
why don't you give us a quick introduction of who you are?
Sure. So I am the founder and CEO at Jackrabbit. Jackrabbit's been around for 4 years. My whole background is in education, and all of what we do is around creating educational experiences for different kinds of organizations.
Great.
So now, Jason, before we jump, we were talking about your background. So you started with you've been a teacher before, yes?
Yes.
So how you jump from teacher, because this is like a huge difference from jumping from teaching to become like, I'm not sure how much different, but design and education, how you came up and how you make the switch.
Sure. So my first teaching job, I taught English as a second language. And I taught here in Boston. I taught in San Francisco. I taught in the United Arab Emirates. And actually, there is a big part of what I do now that is every teacher's job, which is preparing to teach. So it's the work that you do before you're in the classroom and you're interacting with the students. So it was not a difficult move to make. I really enjoyed the preparation. I really enjoyed thinking about how learning happened and what my students needed. And so it was kind of a natural shift for me to make that my full-time job. What does the student need? What does the learner need? What do we need to do to make sure that they get that and that it's a good, engaging, fun, useful, transformative experience?
So now, how you came up with the idea of the business? This is what, so how you come, because I know you like education, you like to, but how you think this,
like, was there a need?
Product,
was there something
somebody came
that...
for you and said, hey, Jason, can you help me develop this program? I said, you know what?
So when I was teaching, I had a good friend from college who started working in a company similar to the one similar to Jackrabbit. And I had never heard of anything like this. And it was exciting, the work that they were doing. It was really interesting. And I had never, as a student, I had never seen anything like it. So it was kind of like, oh, this is very cool. Like I didn't know that I didn't even know this was a thing. And this seems like it's making a difference. So that's what turned me on to it. So that's what got me interested. And then I went to school. I got a degree in instructional design, which is how a lot of people come to this. And then I worked in higher education for 10 years with faculty, helping them create online courses or helping them just teach more effectively to their students, wherever they were teaching to. And then I worked in a services company for a little while, designing for all different kinds of clients. And then while I was there, I realized that I was probably going to be pretty happy doing it on my own, launching my own thing. So that's how I ended up where I am now.
So now, when you jump from working from people to work for yourself, what's the process? What's the decision? Because I don't think you wake up early in the morning, you know what, I'm going to work for myself today.
No.
I think that's what happened. So what's the process?
I think the process was a very long one in my case. I think there was I want to say about 6 or 7 years before I started my business, I realized that it was something that was interesting to me. I definitely remember times where I would look at the CEO at my company and say, that is the worst job in the company. I don't know why anyone would ever want to do that. It's horrible. But I think what started to occur to me is that there were ways that I wanted to do my work, that I wanted to practice my work, that I wasn't going to be able to do unless I gave myself that opportunity. So starting the business originally was about that. So there are things that I do, that we do at Jackrabbit, all of us do at Jackrabbit now, that I think are really different than how other companies work. I know are really different. So that was the spark. what really got me going is that I was laid off from my last job. And I was already planning it, right? I already started to putting together like a little business plan and some marketing stuff and like, what's the website copy going to be? Like on the weekends, you know, just doing a couple hours, and then one day show up, no more job. Okay, time to find some clients. So I was just kind of pushed into it.
You know, I just finished a book. You remind me for actually, they say something in the book. They said as they meet some very successful CEO company, massive success.
Yeah.
They said, when you know you're going to be as successful? He said, when I was living in the bench in the street, I know I'm going to be successful.
Wow.
Because like, you know, this what...
That's an extreme situation,
That's some self-confidence right there.
Yeah, but this what happened exactly with him.
There's nowhere to go but up.
That's right.
Because exactly, this like you get laid down. What the point? You've been pushed for it.
It was
like,
pushed.
You know, you've been pushed. You know, okay, this now. I think a lot of people, because a lot of people in entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial style is not easy.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I think, sometimes they want the push, because a lot of people they want to do it,
Yeah, they'll just drag their feet forever.
but they're never gonna do it. But sometimes you have to get the push. You have to be pushed to do it. This is sometimes what has to be happen. Now I do have a question before. I think I have a lot of questions about what you did, but how you came up with the name Jackrabbit.
Yeah.
This I want to understand.
Well, so I wanted to choose a name for the company that had a couple qualities, right? So it couldn't be too abstract. I needed to be something that like had a little bit of emotional quality to it. So it's like rabbits are quick, they're intuitive, they're actually really smart. I have a rabbit at home. He's very, very smart animal. They're kind of relatable, right? There's motion in a rabbit. And so that was a big part of it. And another one is that I had a project at a service company that I worked with. We had an internal we used to name all of our projects, like we'd give them little code names. We had an internal project. The code name of that project was Jackrabbit. And in that project, my team at the time kind of codified a lot of the things, the ideas that had just kind of been here and there. They pulled them all together and turned it into something. And I felt like that was kind of a seed for what my company is. And so it's like a little bit of an homage to that team too.
Amazing.
Amazing.
I have a question. This is probably very deep, but how do you, so I've never been in an environment where I had to create something that someone else is going to learn, but how does that process begin? Like, how do you know what it is that you're creating for someone? Is it, obviously it's based on what we in marketing call the target audience, but how do you know what it is that you need to develop or how you're supposed to be teaching it or whatever? And that's probably a big question.
It's a big question, but it's a really good question. And a lot of times clients will reach out to us and say, we know we need a thing to teach people something, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what it looks like. We have no idea where to start. And so usually the whole beginning of that kind of process is around talking to their learners, understanding what they need, learning all about their content area. So you probably do this too. You learn about your clients, you understand what they're doing. You kind of get in, you see from their perspective, right, what they're trying to do. So we learn about their content. And this is everything from like cybersecurity to marketing to diabetes health. We're also learning about the company. What are its metrics? What are its KPIs? What are the things that are, important metrics for them in terms of their success? And then we're also looking, we have to be guided by this. There's a lot of science to learning as well. So we're guided by the learning sciences, by the science of behavior change, and in a number of other places. So really determining what it is about looking at all of those factors together and determining what the right course of action is. Usually the client knows it has to be around X size and it has to serve this kind of person. Usually we have some general direction, but sometimes you need to do a bit more investigation.
So when you talk about science, what do you mean with science? Like science learning?
Like behavioral science?
Behavioral science? Like how people they accept data, how people they accept information?
Yeah, so some of it is, some of the behavioral science is around just understanding what kind of cues you can give people to help them behave in a way that is to their benefit, right? That's kind of a behavior change thing. Then the learning sciences, they're rooted in psychology, and they're rooted in cognitive science. And a lot of that is really around what are the conditions, understanding what are the conditions under which people learn effectively. So like just a really good example, just in the real world, is it's always harder to learn if it's really noisy around you, right? If you're distracted, it's harder to learn, right? That's an obvious thing that we all feel and understand. But that actually has an implication when you're creating something that's like a virtual experience. So you don't want to put in sounds when sounds might be distracting from the point of the lesson, for instance. This is like a very, very small, discrete example, but that's kind of the idea. But there are also bigger things. And like here's the other thing. People learn just at a big level. People learn best when the thing that they're learning about relates to their lives, relates to their vision for themselves, relates back to the prior experience they have, and is actually really usable in a clear way, right? So as kids, we're often just given information, and we're supposed to be just learning the information, but really the learning science says you got to connect what people are learning with the change they want to make in their lives and what's important to them.
And so this is when you do learning for company, do you do it for any like industry, or you focus in specific industry?
So our focus is in higher education.
Oh yeah.
We also work in with nonprofit organizations, and we also work with lots of healthcare organizations as well, and actually some other non-healthcare corporate clients. So we have a pretty wide portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now when we come back, is 4 years. Let's go back for 4 years.
Yep.
So now you said, okay, you know what? I'm going to start this business.
Yeah.
I've been laid off. This is the only direction I have. Did you have support? Because what I see a lot of people, they tell you, no, don't do it. This is a mistake.
Yeah.
You got to find something safe and job. So did you have the support, or did you have the people pushing you away? Because I feel this two level of it.
Yeah, that's so important. A couple months before I lost my job, I had a conversation with my wife about, I hadn't told her I was really, she knew that it was interesting to me that maybe someday I would start but I said, look, I think it's soon. I think I want to do this relatively soon. And she said, great, I'm in. I mean, whatever you need. So when I lost that job, she was just 100% in my corner. Everything else, I had a lot of other support from a lot of other people. Her support was the most important thing, right? She was there. I knew I was going to be able to give it a real good shot because she had my back. So yes, is the answer to your question.
Yeah.
Does she work with you in the business, or she just is still a support?
She has worked a little bit in the business, and actually she has a background in this kind of work. Really, the support was around me understanding that no matter what happened in the business in terms of success or failure, that she was with me, right? I'm not I didn't have to worry about my relationship, and that if things went bad, she was going to be a shoulder to cry on. And when things went well, she was going to be a person I could high five and, celebrate with. That's huge.
Yeah. It's very important.
We are married, actually been married for 19 years. So we've been married for 19 years. We have few business together. We work actually together. We work together. It's really important. You don't understand how much it's important, because I think a lot of people they found the challenges of them. Personal life is not set up as a right way, because
Or it's not set up to support them in whatever they're doing.
We make a lot of decisions together. We say, this is what we're doing, but it's not easy also, because you need to have the support behind you.
Yeah.
You need to have the support around you. So this is a great. Now your wife just said absolutely go for it. And actually I want to tell you something. You didn't lose your job. you make your job go away because it's law of attraction. If you start thinking about I want to get over my own business, you don't lose it.
Yeah.
Things the universe, okay, man, go Jason, go
Yep.
here, this is yours.
Here's your new direction.
That's right.
Here it is, given
That's right.
to you.
I believe in the law of attraction. Anyway, come back. So now after that, he said, okay, now my wife she's beside me.
Yeah.
Now what we need to do? Did he say? Because I feel out also people start the business, they don't look at everything, and we learn those in the hard way because this way the lesson is gonna
Trial by
come.
fire.
So how we start doing this? Do you consult
Yeah.
people? Do you research? Do you do it by yourself?
So because I had been doing this work for a long time, I knew what the general shape of the business needed to be because I had done it.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of the job. I mean, I had been involved in all of the different aspects of a service business, so I understood all those pieces. I think I was a little lucky that way. And I understood what my offering was going to be. So I just focused on sales. My first thing was, I was working in a WeWork downtown.
Yeah.
And so we were called into a 9 o'clock meeting. It was half an hour. Hey, everybody here's laid off. Like just the whole company was just done.
Yeah.
Came back to my office at 9:15 or whatever, 9:20. And I had been having I've been just doing some pro bono work with a business that worked down the hall at WeWork. And so the CEO of that business walked by and I'm sitting there and he walked by and he said, oh, hey, wait a minute. You got a second? I said, I know that you were thinking about maybe needing a little help for some things. Well, I just had some time free up. So if you need somebody, I'm your guy. And he ended up being my first client.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
And then somebody else had reached out to me to get a referral for a designer. And so I started working with her as my second client. So for anybody who's starting, sales has got to be the first. I mean, you certainly have to know what you're doing, right? What are you offering? That has to be first. But then you have to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You build it, what this Rome, it's been built, now people need to come or something like this. You build it, people need,
No, I do.
you need people to come for that. I know what to say.
Yeah.
But now, actually, I do have a question for you because I know you do know you're offering and you have experience with it and you build the business. Now, because you said something in the beginning, everybody in Jackrabbit right now, they do the same process or we have our own way of doing it.
Yeah.
So how you find this niche? How you find because if you have 100 store pizza in the same road, but what you see one store only people buying all them pizza. So how you find your niche?
I would say around how we work, that niche is really about, again, it's about the things that are kind of personally and professionally important to me about how I work. And I would say that's kind of as I mentioned, was my spark for how to get going. And then I would say that's just developed into a whole way of doing things, just a whole process. So it is, I mentioned, like leveraging the science of learning. We have a way of doing that that's extremely specific in our process where we create custom design tools for every client where we are leveraging exactly the right learning sciences for their needs and their learners. Nobody else does that. So this is something that we've just figured out over the last 4 years. The other thing is that it is unusual, I think, for a company like ours to do everything from consulting all the way through development at scale. Usually you have a company that is really focused on development, just give us the orders and we're just going to take them and just create these things for you, or you have companies that work on the other end, they're really consulting focused. So we can kind of string all those things together and we have a real map that allows us from asking basic questions to creating a giant program.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of how we do it with Pepper Gang too. Like a lot of agencies are either really good at just consulting, telling you what are the things that you need to be doing, or they're really good at just implementing it, but they're really not good at designing the strategy and building all that. And we do that. Like for Pepper Gang specifically, it's just it just was very similar to
actually
what
this
we
one
do.
from our
Yeah.
selling point because we can take it everything together. So we
Yeah,
can
like identifying
from
what it
strategy
is.
to development,
Yeah.
we can do it all of it,
Yeah.
and this one make it very successful for us and
great.
for our client because we have our hand in both sections. Because
Yeah.
all the time when people develop a strategy, so for example, if some
Yeah.
people develop a strategy and you want to develop the training, you say this does not make sense. What you want
Exactly.
me
It
to do?
doesn't tie together,
It
yeah.
does not, how what?
Or
So-
another great example is when a web developer, a designer designs the website, but it's not functioning for a marketing purpose. It's
Doesn't
like,
make
well,
sense.
it's all for nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
So now, if we go back for the 4 years, Jason, now what do you think is one thing you're gonna see? You know what? In those 4 years, I learned this stuff. One thing you learn, like one thing, like
Your
one
biggest
thing
learning?
learning so far.
Probably it's 1,000 things, but
I mean, I guess my biggest learning is that I'm never done learning. I mean, they're just,
yeah.
you if you start a company, your job is to learn stuff and find more clients.
Yeah,
That's really,
Yeah.
that's
and
really,
continually learn and continually grow.
and make
yeah.
your business better, right? Put in processes knowing that they are only going to have a shelf life of a certain amount of time, and then they're going to have to be reinvented because you've grown or you've shrunk or the market's changed or whatever. But there is no standing still,
Yeah.
right? I would say that is the biggest thing that I've learned from like a specific, if I have to pick a specific skill, bookkeeping. I never thought I could do it. And actually my accountant said, use QuickBooks. It's going to hurt for the first 6 weeks, but after about 2 months, it's going to be fine. And he was right.
Yeah.
And I did all the books myself for about a year and a half, 2 years, and actually really liked it. I like knowing where the money is, and I like knowing how to figure that out now on my own without having to go to my tax professional.
And I think this what when you become an entrepreneur, I think you have to have the mindsets of this. Because a lot of people want to come, and sometimes I hear it from a lot of people, oh, you need to focus on what you do good. I think you need to focus on what you do good, but you have to know a lot of stuff.
You have to.
You have to know a lot of stuff. You cannot just say, you know what, I'm doing this, I don't care about anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to go anywhere.
We've heard it quite a bit too. So you start off as a specialist, but then you become a generalist.
Yeah.
You're doing everything from accounting to, hiring. You're an HR manager. You're
Right.
you're all these things. So
Right.
you have to really just get in and just do
now,
whatever needs to be
we
done.
ask
Absolutely.
what you most of the thing you learn. What now one and I don't like to say it this way because I don't think any failure in business. But one failure, you say, you know what, this is like was a teaching lesson for you.
That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second.
Sure. We can come back for it.
Yeah.
That's a tough
No,
one.
I mean, no, there are lots of examples, it's one of these things, I would say failure is one of these things that happens in little ways all the time.
It has to happen.
Yeah. Here, I'll give a great one that actually I'm very frustrated with myself over. So we have a great client who, it's a giant organization. They referred us to another part of the organization. We had a couple conversations with them. It was clear that they really liked us. It would have been a very strong referral, and that we were the front runners for the work. They told us that they were talking with other organizations like ours. And I thought we were at part of the conversation where they needed to have a few more internal conversations and that they would kind of engage us when they were kind of ready for the next step. What happened though, is that they really needed me to keep pushing the conversation. And as a result, I was never really able to talk about what we could do for them in a way, that they could see was relevant to their needs. Another agency was just faster. They moved, they were a little bit more on the ball in that process. And I lost that opportunity because I was not attuned enough to where they were. So that is something I've thought about a lot since then, and have made some changes to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, part of it is losing this, right? Losing a sale's hard, but it also is going to happen to anybody who goes into business. But the other part of it is I didn't give myself or her the opportunity to really talk about what the possibilities were for us working together. And that's tough. I don't mind losing to an agency if that agency can do the thing better than we can. That's great. I think, right, everybody should find the right match. But in this case, I didn't even give us the right opportunity. So that's a failure.
And this is a hurt because we actually, this is what bothers us a lot. Like if we go for a meeting for our client, usually if we go, especially if I go, we close the account. I'm like, but no, seriously, no. Sometimes it hurts because if you don't ask that question, this is what really bothers me. Sometimes, you just need to ask that question, or sometimes you just need to ask for the close, because all the time you just need, guys, you need to move ahead. What's the next step? If you don't ask, and they want people to push them, because a lot of people also, they want to be pushed to close the deal. A lot of people also, they want to be like, you want to tell them, say yes to move ahead.
Yeah, one thing that I'm working with a marketing company now, just started, and the guy who runs that company said something really interesting to me that I really like, and I think this is really right, which is when you're reaching out or when you're having a conversation with an organization, they really do need something, right? Sales can feel really hard. It can feel really invasive, but the reality is that we all need each other. Like I don't do HR myself. We need the company that we work with. I'm glad we found them. They had to sell to me, and I'm so glad they did, because I need their services and they do great work for us. And I think if you really believe in what you do, I think it is important to be able to push that conversation along, because people need your services.
Yeah, and this actually what I will give. I probably, when we have our system, I will give this advice all the time. Remember, they're not giving you the money for free.
Right.
You offer something amazing. It's gonna change them lives. You're gonna change them service.
Yes.
You're gonna, for example, from our side, we help businesses. We help business to say, when a company working 50 people and come with us and work with us, and we help to save this business we save 50 family a job and so this, I keep telling people, remember, is that, yes, they're gonna pay for your service, but you're not doing it for free.
Right.
You're not taking the money and just like go vacation. You're gonna actually doing something amazing for them. You're gonna build amazing thing for them. And I think this is what a lot of people, they don't understand in sale. They think you're taking the money, but you're not offering. But I think
it's a perception, though. I think it's like, if you know that you provide a value and you can easily talk about it and explain it, I think it's very different than doing like a hard sale where like you're trying to convince them to do something that they have no value, or it's no value to them. So I think it's just a mindset. And
that's why I will tell for any entrepreneur, don't try to sell, educate.
Yeah.
I think if you educate people, don't try to sell. If you show you value, you educate people what you can do, what result you deliver.
Yes.
And I really also, one thing what I will, because you said something touch about Jason, I really like, you talk about different company where you should find a different company. Don't like people to don't compare you with different company, because every company has their own strengths.
Absolutely.
This is like
100%.
Yeah, if you don't like us, like don't work with us. And actually, this is our name, Beba Gang.
Yeah.
We telling people Beba Spice Hut. Not everybody's gonna like us.
Right.
So it's okay. So if you don't, it was not the right fit, we're not the right fit. So this is a great thing here, actually. Now, in those 4 years, Jason, because I'm gonna jump on it, because in those 4 years, now you have team around you, yes?
Yes.
How is the challenge of hiring the right team around you? It was hard, easy?
Well, it has been relative. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's been a great experience, because most of the folks who are on our team are folks that one of us, so I have a partner now, his name's James, who he's worked with before, or who I have worked with before, or who are in our extended network. And it has been great to meet folks, to realize we have a need, and then to be able to plug people in, have people come and join us where they can do the thing that we need. That has been so far a really good experience.
Amazing.
It seems pretty simple, but it's really difficult.
It is. It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys have been, blessed with just really,
Definitely. Well, I don't know
finding
if
opportunity.
you do this, but I mean, definitely. So we were just talking about sales, right? And sometimes it can take months and months and months, sometimes years to nurture a relationship, right? I think the same is also true in your hiring. I mean, I meet people who I don't have a place for them in my business, but I really like them. And I'm really interested in their skill set. I'm really interested in what maybe under the right circumstances they could bring into the mix. And I love continuing those conversations over time also because you never know. You never know when something's going to pop up and you think, oh man, this person who I've been talking to for a while, like they're going to nail this. Like they're exactly the right person. So I think that's kind of part of it.
That's great.
Yeah, this is a great action.
So I wanted to learn a little bit more about you as a business owner.
Sure.
So, going from being from working for a company in an organization of some sort, in a role where even if you're in higher levels, you're still sort of in that, like, I hate to say employee, but employee role. Transitioning into a business owner is a very different animal. I mean, obviously we talked about it earlier. There's so many other things that happen or that, come into that. But what is it like? How did you transition into that? And how did you embrace it and really dive into that? Because it's a very different scenario,
Yeah, I think there's a way in which I was both a really good employee and not a good employee. I think I was really like a good company person, right? I was really good at doing the thing that my organization told me it needed from me. But I think what that made it difficult for me to do was put all of myself into my work because I was always in my head, like hedging, what is this the right thing for the company? And I think limiting, which is I think a good thing to do, but I think in my case, I was limiting my creative output because I wasn't going to the places that I could have gone because I felt like there was a little bit of a barrier. In starting the business, removing that barrier felt actually pretty natural for me to just be more of a consultant. And actually, one of the things that we talk about for everybody in our company is that we are always consulting, no matter what it is we're doing. If we are designing an image for somebody, we should have a consulting mindset with that. If we're designing an interactive, if we're designing something very discrete, we need to be able to go to our client and be able to offer suggestions and ideas and ask questions that enable us to give something to them that they can't even ask us for. So I think for me, the transition was really very enjoyable because it allowed me to kind of to just be more free in my work. So I don't know. I will just say, I know that people struggle with entrepreneurship. It definitely is very difficult. I have never felt like it's harder than having a job. I don't think it's for everyone. In fact, I know it's not for everyone. In my case, I think it was a little harder for me to be an employee than it is to be running this business.
Yeah, amazing.
So now, who inspired you, Jason?
So I know people say their dad a lot, but I'm going to say my dad.
You tricked me. I said, okay.
So
that's the fun answer. Okay.
my dad was an entrepreneur, and he did a lot of different things. He was in real estate, and he was a salesperson for a long time, and then he started buying houses and fixing them up and selling them or renting them, and he had a lot of ups and downs in his career, and I think I was inspired by his tenacity in what he did. I also have a couple great managers over the years who who just, here's a great example. When I was interviewing at Harvard, I had this job as an instructional designer at Harvard. When I was interviewing for that job, the person who was going to be my boss in the interview asked, so let's say you're in this situation, you're talking to this faculty person, and what kind of advice would you give them? And I said, whoa, and this was like a very famous person. And I didn't even know they were there. So she said the name and I was like, oh, I can't imagine that I would have anything useful to say to that person. I mean, this is like a world-class thinker in this space. And she said, I'm going to stop you right there. She said, this person's very good at what they do. If you're in this job, you have a specific value that you are bringing in your role with this person. You have to be in these conversations as a person who's bringing something useful all the time, right? That's useful to them and is useful to the institution. If you can't do that, you can't do the job. And I think that is an extraordinary entrepreneurial mindset, right? This idea of, and it's just like we said before, like if you're going to be the right match, you're the right match for your client because you're constantly giving them something valuable. So she's maybe another great inspiration for me.
This actually are great because I love to give this idea. For any entrepreneur want to start, I think you have to have self-belief. You have to have self-belief in yourself and you're confident. You have to have very high, to be honest with you, I don't like the word, but you have to be arrogant, Larry. Be honest, you have to be, because if you don't, because
maybe in a good way,
a good, good way, like
good arrogance.
You know what I mean? Like you believe in yourself, you believe in your
confidence. I think
confidence the word of it, because like I feel a lot of people like really they're amazing, but they're never able to success because first like channels they come, they fold because it's not self-confident. I think you have to have this, and you have to believe in your value, because I think if you know your skill set and what value and what you can deliver, you could speak with anybody. Like I really think this is what every entrepreneur should be thinking about. So these people inspire you. Now, did you have a mentor?
No, I've never really had a mentor over the long term. No, I have a lot of great people who have been incredibly helpful, really inspiring, great people that I go to with tough questions who are reliably there for me. And I have to say, other people who have started businesses are so willing to help. I mean, it is really amazing. I actually had a person who started a business that could be considered a competitor to ours pull me aside and say, I'm so glad you're starting. This is amazing. Here are all the things I did wrong. Do this, don't do this. This is how you should think about the market. Come back to me, right? Around the same time, I had another person actually do something very, very similar, but got really into the nuts and bolts of how that person's business operated. It's astonishing the generosity that people have if you ask for help. So I haven't had one consistent mentor, but I've had a lot of really good people.
Yeah, and we hear that a lot too. Actually, most of our interviews are, everybody says that everybody is so helpful. So definitely one piece of advice that we always give is go out, ask for help.
Yes.
Find others that have something of value to bring. Ask questions. Like people will help. They'll help all day long. So
again,
it's great.
Like entrepreneur, it's like small percentage of, because I think a lot of people, they think they're entrepreneur, but really they're not. Like, they're not. I think the percentage of entrepreneurs is very small percentage, and those people, for me, entrepreneurs, they're doing something, not just ideas and nothing there, and just talk about 10 years. Oh, I'm gonna do something, build business and moving ahead, and really like this is what the income. Those people, they want to share their experience. We love to share our experience with people. We love to inspire people, because like if I can do it, anybody can do it, as simple as can be. So this is what we love to share with you, but this is amazing.
I wanted to ask, if you could give one piece of advice to someone out there just starting out, what would that advice be?
Write down how you want things to happen from the very beginning. It is unbelievable how powerful a good process is. It makes you money. It saves you time. It allows you to communicate more clearly. It helps you understand your own offering better. It is a very underappreciated pillar of good business practice, is having strong process.
We can't more than agree with you about this, because really this actually one from
It's something we struggle with all the time.
For our company, we've been actually the last 6 months we've been developing more processes in place. Because I think we have our own strategy, but I think because we want actually we are in a growth phase, so we want to grow to get for a certain level. What we find, and if we want to grow, you have to have a more process, because when you have more team around you, you're not doing it me and Steven by we need to share those ideas with different people. So I think we did actually very amazing the last few months. We did amazing job on it, but this is definitely process. It's amazing. Tips for everybody.
I mean, it's the only way that you're going to allow someone else to pick up exactly where you want them to pick up and be able to do. And expectations are set. Processes and activities are clearly outlined. So it's like a direction.
And you have a brand, right? You have a way of doing things that's important to you. And the only way that that's possible when it's not just you in every interaction is that that's clear.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Amazing.
Now, I do have a question. I don't like to ask this question. I hate this question. But I'm gonna,
good. I'm looking forward to this.
I hate it.
So why are you asking
No, but
it?
I don't like it because I think it's a cheesy question, to be honest with you. But I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
Where you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I want to, we've articulated this internally. We want to grow a little bit more. And then we don't want to grow forever. We want to get to a certain size with clients that we love working with a team that, is very happy working together. And we want to stay around that size. I think we want to kind of stabilize. I like the challenges of growth, and I like the idea of having a business that is a little smaller, where we all kind of understand what's happening, and that we feel like we can consistently do great work because we're not worried about hiring 50 more people, right, and ramping them up in 3 weeks to do something that's really complicated.
Yeah.
This is actually a good, because we interview a lot of people. Some people, they want like $1 billion company. Some people actually, they don't want to grow. They want just like because everybody also success is different way. So what's success for you, Jason?
It's a few things. I mean, the reason that I often say, and this was, and I didn't say this before, but it's really true. One of the reasons that I really started the business is because I wanted to create the culture, the organizational culture that I wanted to work in, and that other people who would join also want to work in. I don't think there's a greater measure of success than getting there, and it always moves, right?
Oh my God!
Right, constantly. But I think we've all had bad jobs, and we all know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And if I can, for the rest of my working life, be in a place where I'm co-creating how it feels to work there, and we all feel great about how it, about doing the work, and that we are doing great work for our clients, and that we're making a real good change in the world. I'm going to feel pretty good about everything at the end of the day.
And what does culture mean to you? Because that means so many different things to different people. Like, what is it that, like, if you had to name just a few things of like what is included in that culture, what is it to you? And I know it's probably different for every company, but
it's definitely different for every company. I mean, I would say culture is about how we're oriented to the work in terms of if we're going to do great work, that means it has to have all of these things, right? Quality work means a certain thing. It means that we are just conducting ourselves, behaving in ways where we're being good to each other, we're developing good relationships with our clients, where we're being ethical in our work, where we are we're doing work where we feel pushed, right? Where we're out of our comfort zone, where we're doing things that are difficult and enriching personally, and then also doing that for our clients. Those are all pieces of, for us, I think, what would look like a good culture.
And I think this is why I will give advice, because we talk about culture in the company a lot. I think we have a bit, like, for example, we have a vision for our culture, but we're not there yet. Because, like, keep shifting and, you know, get busy. Really, culture for us, I think for any company, open a new company, I think they have to look at the culture where they want to be. And I think this is what we look at where we need to be, but, like, it's hard to get there because really it's a lot of challenges. And, you know, it's business. It's upside down. Because a lot of people, they tell you when you open the plan for business, like, you know, I'm going from here to there. I know it. But when you really actuality, like, it's loop and it's upside down. It's not, so it's, but I would advise anybody opening a business or entrepreneur, focus on your culture, figure out what it is, figure out what's important for your life, because I think this is what should be focused, what it's important for your life. This is what I think should be. It should be. Do you want to ask another question?
Yeah, this is more like personality type questions, just fun stuff. So just bear with us. It's fun.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So on to rapid questions. All right. So one word that describes you.
Focused.
What is your favorite food?
Breakfast food.
Breakfast food?
Yes.
I would have to agree. I could eat eggs eggs mostly. Eggs all day long.
But waffle, pancake.
Yeah.
All of the above.
It's good any time of the day for sure. If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
The Passenger by Iggy Pop.
Wow.
I don't know that one. I don't know that one.
Iggy Pop? Who's this?
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop. I know that. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that song. What do you prefer, tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee. Are you more productive during the day or at night?
During the day.
During the day.
Yeah.
What do you miss most about being a kid?
Riding my bike.
Actually,
that's like one of my favorite.
It's best and sit down on a bike. Just like go hire a bike everywhere.
I literally used to get up. I'd get on my bike at like 9 in the morning and I'd be back at like 8 at night.
Yeah,
I'd just be gone all day, just like cruising around.
The freedom of that.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't want to get on a bike and go for a bike ride now because that just sounds hard and uncomfortable. But yeah, it was the freedom.
It was the freedom of just going out and doing whatever. Do you have a favorite book?
Favorite book. I love the book The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad.
What's that about?
Did you ever see Apocalypse Now?
I think so.
Apocalypse Now. It was, that movie is based loosely on that book, and it's about the ivory trade in colonial Congo. It's dark, as you would guess from the title, but it is it's incredible.
Yeah. Okay, great. Name one person who inspires you. Could be alive, could be somebody in the past. Yeah.
So let's see. He said that. Let's see, he's going to change his answer.
Well, I'm going to change my... Seth Godin. How about that? Seth Godin inspires me. I love Seth Godin.
Okay, great.
Is the night host show?
What's that?
Is the night host show Seth Godin? Who's this?
Yeah, marketing guy. But he writes a lot of he writes about all kinds of things. But he's I don't know. I love that guy.
What do you think about setting goals?
Oh, must do.
And let me ask you, when you set up goals, do you set up weekly, monthly, daily? How you do it?
All of the above.
All above.
I have 10-year, 5-year, 3-year, 1-year, quarterly, daily goals.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah. And why do you think it's so important?
Because if you don't have them, and if those things don't line up, I don't know that what I'm doing is getting me to where I want to be in 5 years. Unless I have that map.
Absolutely.
Yep. Tell us what your biggest fear is.
Snakes.
That's my biggest fear. I hate snakes. I can't even look at them on TV. They creep me out.
There's no snake in Massachusetts.
No, there's snakes in Massachusetts.
We lived in California.
There are snakes?
We lived
Oh,
in
my goodness.
California. So in California, snakes everywhere.
You literally can walk on the trail and you have to watch and avoid rattlesnakes.
Oh my God.
Stepping on rattlesnakes. Like that's how crazy it is. It's insanity.
You don't see them much. They're here, but
Just let them
not in
stay
the same
hidden.
way. Yeah, it's a good place for snakes. You know.
Under the rock.
Yeah.
All right. So now the next section is called complete the sentence. So it's similar, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So when I started my business, I wish I knew this.
How to think about money without expecting a regular paycheck.
And what do you mean with this?
Well, when I got a paycheck, I knew what I was going to have in the bank at the end of every month, right? It was really easy. And then when I started the business, right, you have some months that are great and some months that aren't great.
so great.
and
Or nothing.
and I knew that intellectually, but I was, I would say, unprepared for how to think about how to plan my life around that.
Yeah, and this is, I think, one thing what scare a lot of people from become like really entrepreneur, because they come one do it and say, oh, how I'm gonna do this? It's hard. This is really hard.
It's a reasonable fear.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard.
definitely for most businesses, it does even out over time.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, in the beginning, it's definitely difficult.
It's a
and
challenge.
something that a lot of people don't expect. They know that it's there, but they don't.
It's
They don't know how to deal with it.
discovering the mindset
Yeah.
of that is, I think, was really the thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Leadership for me is about what?
For the people who I'm leading, understanding what they need and what they want and what their goals are, and then helping them get to those things while also accomplishing the thing that we all need to do together.
That's amazing.
Great. The one thing that makes a great team member is
Curiosity, genuine, deep curiosity.
So what this is actually, because we talk about this other stuff here, because actually we're trying to hire right now. We're in hiring phase.
Yeah.
We're trying to add the 3 to 4 people for our team, but really we're finding a lot of challenge to find because we want, like, how you find those people with curiosity, what you ask people to see what they have it, because this, I think, you want people to be curious about stuff. You don't want people to just come and they think they know everything, that's it, I'm done. Or how you find those people?
Well, as I said before, if I meet somebody who strikes me as really great at something, I want to make sure I'm checking in with them. So that's one way. But another is that, we have our hiring process. We're asking people a lot of questions about how they go about their work. And when somebody talks through their process, you can hear things about how they're investigating, things to solve a challenge, or how they're acquiring a skill or knowledge to bring it into the problem space to help them, do their work in the best way possible. Or like in our work, as I said before, there's a lot of learning you have to do about all of these different areas of, content areas. And I don't think you can really do the work without having some curiosity about what's happening in these other spaces. So it usually comes through pretty quickly with people because, if people, and also people will select out. If somebody can't jump from, all right, half your time you're going to be on this project that's just all about, diabetes and patient education and patient support. And then over here, you're going to be doing an onboarding, an employee onboarding program for a consumer brand. And then over here, you're going to be, doing this thing with cybersecurity content. if people aren't turned on by that, that's a pretty good indicator that they're not quite the right fit.
You work is very, very similar
It's
for
parallel.
marketing
Yeah, it's very
agency.
similar.
Yeah.
Because we have to jump from industry to industry,
Yeah.
and you have to change your mind right away from higher education to gift basket, shoes, to car set, and like it has. You have to be able to adapt very fast. You have to be able to adapt. Actually, I do have a question. I know Stephanie.
That's fine. We can.
I just come back to ask you for regarding your service. So now, when you develop all these programs, I'm curious actually. When you develop all, curiosity, I'm curious question. So
That's
now,
it.
He's a good hire.
Perfect.
Good hire, smart. So now let's go back for the when you develop this program. I'm curious. Is those people using the company using this program from the internal, or they using it for like? What they using the program for them team, or they selling the program? What they using for?
It can be for lots of different purposes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's totally internal, could be internal training.
Yeah.
So like large corporations, obviously they've got to do that constantly. Sometimes it's for a company that wants to sell the thing that we're making for them. So they build a learning program and then they sell the learning program. Sometimes they just need it. It's external facing, it's customer facing for them, but it's part of their business. So they're folding it into some element of their business where they are educating their customers, or they're helping their customers do something better, or it's a school, right? And they have students and it's for their students. So it's very varied.
So it's different from some people.
Yeah.
Okay. I was curious about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Back to finish the sentence. All right. So I think we've probably talked a little bit about this, but in 5 years, my business will be.
Just as fun as it is now.
Oh, that's a good answer.
That's great. Yeah. If given the opportunity to do differently, I would do what?
Actually, here's one that you're going to like. I would work with a marketing company sooner. How's that?
We do hear that a lot, actually. They're like, if I had only learned about you sooner, could have grown that much faster. Yeah. That's
I think a lot of people also they miss, and I'm not trying to promote any marketing company.
I don't even think it's just marketing. I think in general.
A lot of people they don't understand it, and actually sometimes we face this in our own because, like sometimes we are as a what is called the guy fixes the doors, but your door broken. Because like
carpenter's door is always broken.
We're very good, and sometimes we don't promote ourselves.
Yes.
I think people, a lot of markets, they don't understand how much it's important, especially if you want to grow, if you want to move ahead, and you want to build something amazing. Because I keep giving people this example. You have a flower at home. You bring this flower, you put the best seeds, you put the best water, you put it in the sun. Every day, nobody tell me anything about my flower. Nobody tell me, oh my God, smell nice. Because you hide it in your room, man. Just put it outside. When the people are gonna start telling you, so I feel this is.
But I don't think that's just marketing. I think it's just some of the other things that we've been talking about too. I think it's just getting the help and outsourcing stuff sometimes. And I think that's something that entrepreneurs and business owners have a lot of struggle with, because it's like, well, gosh, I do this really well. Why am I going to have someone else do it for me? But I think that is one of the things that you have to let go, and you have to know. Or unfortunately, you learn it maybe sometimes too late that now's the time. Okay, now I need to bring on an accountant, for example, or whatever, HR manager, or whatever it is. So you have to realize those different points and then make that switch, because it's only going to make your life easier.
You have
in the
to.
long run.
I mean, just the business will just turn into a cage.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't find ways to free up your time like that, then all you're going to be doing is working.
Yeah.
And it will be miserable, and there will be no obvious way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it happen. It's terrible, actually.
So actually, this what brings us back. I know we finished.
I think we're pretty much.
But I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, if people come in entrepreneurial lifestyle, because actually we ask this question a lot, how you balance your life with work? Because I think this what we face. Be honest, we have this major challenge between because like
work is hard. Like work is on 24/7. Like you're eating dinner and you're talking about work. You're cooking breakfast.
But how you do it? Like how you do? What best advice is there for people?
I think, well, in my case, I'm not a type A personality. I cannot be on all the time. I know that if I run at 100% every day, I will get burned out, and then I will have a period of time where I'm just really unable to do good work. So I know that. I know that I just have to say to myself, there are times when I'm working and then I have to be working 100%. That's all I'm doing. When my work hours are on, that's what I'm doing. But when they're off, I'm just going to shut it off. And I just have to be really good about establishing those boundaries. And usually, you know, do I work a lot of weekends? Yes, I do. But I'm going to get up on Saturday. I'm going to do 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, it doesn't matter how much is left. I'm done because I need the rest of the day to not work. That's important. So I think for me, it's just around setting those boundaries and understanding what I need, just psychologically, personally.
That's great.
Good answer.
So I think that's pretty much it. So just a couple of quick wrap ups. So if someone was looking to learn more about what you do or get in contact, where can they find you?
Yep, you can go to JackrabbitLX.com. It's our website. You could connect with me on LinkedIn if you just search Jason Gorman in Jackrabbit Learning Experience. You'll find me. Those are probably the two best places to find us. You can also get in touch with us. Email letstalk@JackrabbitLX.com. It's a good way to get in touch with us as well.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to Founder Thought. You can find more episodes wherever you listen to podcasts or on the web at founderthought.com. Founder Thought is a production of Pepper Gang.